Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to put a thermostat bypass valve in my 2016 Chevy Silverado with the 6L80 transmission. Now if you've been following the channel, typically we do turbo 400 stuff, we do LS stuff, we do S10 stuff because I'm swapping an LS into my S10 with a turbo 400. But after my last video, if you saw it, I talked about how I just picked my truck up from the transmission shop because I had to have it rebuilt. The torque converter turned loose, caused it to damage the transmission, so I had to have it rebuilt. Now, after I got to studying about this, I found out that the transmissions actually have a thermostat on them that keep the temperature up high. And on mine, my truck would typically run 198 degrees to 200, 201. And in the summertime, when I pull my boat over to the lake, I have seen it get as high as 215, 218. And I just don't think that's good for it. So I started looking around for something, a fix for it, and I found this kit, and it's supposed to fit, from my research, 2014 to 2019. Do your own research, make sure this fits your transmission, and let's go take a look at the kit and I'll show you what it is. So it's a kit by Superior Transmission Parts. It says Superior Solutions Shift Technology Products. And basically, you take your stock housing off of your truck, you drop in a piston and a bushing with a check ball and a spring, and it's supposed to drop your temperatures 20 degrees, 20%. You can see it does say 2014 and up, 6L80E. But their claims is it will drop the transmission temperatures up to 20%. So we're going to find out. It is 98 degrees out there today. It's 88 in the shop. So I'm not going to keep rambling. Let's get the truck in here and we'll get started. Okay guys, some things worth mentioning before we get started. When I started looking for this kit online, there were two different kits. One was a little cheaper than the other one, and after reading, the one that was a little more expensive comes with a gasket. So I elected to purchase the gasket. My luck, anytime I take something apart, if I don't replace the gasket, it leaks. So I got the one with the gasket. It comes with instructions. It says it's for 2014 and up, 6L80. Mine's a 2016 again. They're very detailed. You have your contents with your piston, the check ball, and some O-rings. And because we have these O-rings, I'm going to clean everything up and either use some assembly goo. You could use some petroleum jelly, or even just wipe it down with some transmission fluid to keep from pinching the seals and rings inside this piston when we get it down in the thermal valve. So the tools you're going to need is a 13 millimeter, a 10 millimeter, combination wrench or socket and ratchet. I've got a pair of snap ring pliers because we've got to get the snap ring out of the top, and I've also got a pocket screwdriver in case I need help digging that snap ring out. So with all that being said, let's get started, and we will get this thing taken apart on the shop bench and put back in the truck and test it out and see if it does drop the temperature of the transmission. Okay guys, I got you up under the truck, and if you're not familiar with this valve, it is on the driver's side. You can see it's right at the front of the bell housing of the transmission. Here's the shifter. This is the front of the truck this way, back of the truck this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is loosen this 10 millimeter, then you've got a 13 millimeter here, and we'll pull these lines out and get it off the truck. So let me get this loose. Okay guys, you can see I've got my 10 millimeter loose. I slid this bracket back. Now we'll take out the 13, and we should be able to get our lines out of the thermal switch when we get this off the side of the transmission. Okay guys, we got it off. Make sure that you capture both O-rings. One was stuck to my block and the other one is actually up on the tube. So make sure that you have both of these back in place when you put them on the truck. I'm actually going to take this one off and inspect it to make sure that it's okay. And we will let's get this on the shop bench, take the snap ring out, get our bypass put in, get it back on, and we'll test it out. When I took the thermostat or thermal device off the transmission, I didn't have on any gloves. Make sure that you wear gloves. Transmission is bad for your hands, and I just forgot. Usually I would do that. Also, I forgot to mention in the tool list, you're probably going to need a set of pliers to pull out this plug. So we shall see. But I've got everything laid out. I got my factory gasket off the transmission. I got the new gasket. I got my 2 O-rings here off of the cooler lines. I wanted to make sure that I had both of them, and I'm going to put them back on when I reinstall this. I've got everything laid out just like it goes into this housing. The O-ring goes on the piston. Then the small spring part of the spring faces upwards towards the check ball or the ball. And then you have the bushing. So the ball will go in the bushing, small end of the spring on top of the piston, and 2 O-rings. So let's get this apart and see if we can get these things out. And get this snap ring out without sending it across the shop would be great. And for whatever reason, my snap ring pliers are not wanting to hold on to the snap ring. So let's try to help it with a screwdriver. Just a little bit. And that got it. So let's pull this, grab a hold of this plug here, twist it a little bit, pull it out. There's that part. There is the actual part of the thermostat. And then down inside is a spring. Don't forget to take the spring out. And there's all those components. So I'll take all of these and I will put them in a bag and keep them for later. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to dab a little bit of petroleum jelly or Assemblee lube on our piston. And I'm going to lube the part that goes in the bore just a little bit as well. Put the O-ring on. Should have plenty of Assemblee lube on there for that, but we'll put a little more on there. The reason we want this is when we drop this down in here, it's going to help it stick, because we're going to have to turn this up like this to feed that spring and ball and bushing up in here. So now we want to take and put our O-rings on our bushing. There's 2 of them. Again, liberal amount of petroleum jelly or Assemblee lube. And we'll get these installed. All right. There is one. And I put it on the bottom groove because I didn't want to fight to try to dig it out and dig it over the top one. So I put it on the bottom, and then we'll take this one and we will take our fingers and work it around to the top groove. Just like so. I'm going to put a little extra Assemblee lube around the tops of those rings. Not going to hurt a thing. Now, you want to drop your check ball down into the bushing. Remember, look at the paper, just like this. Bushing, check ball, small part of the spring goes to the ball. Then we will take our housing, flip it up, push it all together. It should go nice and smooth. And it did. So now let's put our snap ring back on here. And I heard the little click. It appears to be in there. Let's see. Yeah, it is seated very nicely. So now the next step, I'm gonna climb under the truck. Well, actually, I'm not gonna climb under the truck. I'm gonna put me a little assembly lube on here, on this gasket, both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and stick this onto this housing because it will be hard to get to stick to the side of the transmission. This way you'll know it's going in there straight and great and good. And we'll stick this on. We will bolt it to the transmission, put our cooler lines in, and we should be done. So let's get on the truck and get this done. Pretty straightforward. Installation is right reverse. I've taken it off. I've already installed my O-rings on my tubes. I went ahead and put my gasket on my block. So now I'm just going to stick it in, put the 2 bolts in it. I do not know the torque specs for these bolts. You can look them up online. I'm going to snug them and go from there. So let's get this installed and let's test drive it. Okay, it's installed. The next thing we're going to do is get in and test drive. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. If you want to see what the temperature is at the end, I'm going to drive for about 30 minutes and see what it is. First, I'm going to check my fluid. I did lose a little, so may need to pour just a cap full in there just to make it come back up on the stick. But let's drive it and see what our temperature stays at on the road. Okay, let's get in, start it up, and see what our starting temperature is in our transmission. 86 degrees. All right, let's take it down the road and see what happens. Okay, we got backed in the shop here. Let's look at our temperature. It is 187. On the road, I was seeing temperatures average, well, most of the time it was 185. I did see it get up to 189. So, you know, you're looking at a average of 9 to 12 degrees, not counting the 210, 215 degrees I was seeing when I'm towing. So I'm curious now to see what my temperature is going to get up to when I'm towing. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But for what this little kit cost me, you know, 12 degrees, I'll take it. I'm happy with that. So in the upcoming videos, we're going to get back on this 400. I've got some parts coming, but we're going to modify the output shaft. We're going to get rid of this O-ring. So if you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button. Give me a like, comment, tell me what you'd like to see in some upcoming videos. With all that being said, today is the 4th of July. I probably won't get this video up until tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a happy 4th of July. Stay safe, eat a lot of food, spend some time with your family, which is what I'm fixing to go do. I've got to get the grill fired up, and we're going to have some friends and family over. Enjoy your 4th of July, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.